and good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. This is Mayegun live. Thank you so much for joining me. As you are joining, please read beyond the caption of this broadcast. Just take a moment and read the description as well. Like it, share it, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends. Tell all of them that Mayegun today, Mayegun is here. And thank you if you have done that already. Tonight, we have interesting topics, including, events taking place in that contraption, even outside the contraption as well. Yes, we are starting with the approval of the recent loan request. It's called Fresh Loan. Just a quarter to the end of 2024, Tinubu, who has already overspent the approved budget of 2024, has gotten an approval again to borrow another 1.7 trillion naira. There is no clarity to what the money is meant for, or which of the sector of your economy the money is going to be spent on. But I am not surprised, and I bet a lot of you, the Templars, you are not surprised too. The National Assembly of Nigeria is a repository of the society relic, criminals, the assemblage of rogues that are pretty much good as a rubber stamp, a rubber band. For Tinubu, from the days of Bokwari, the National Assembly of Nigeria has been a rubber stamp to whatever request the executive, brought to them, and it is not changing. The only thing is that they have succeeded in dipping the present Nigerians and the generations yet unborn into an everlasting, perpetual poverty, indebtedness that nobody can actually pinpoint what some of the loans, especially the loans collected by Tinubu, what they've used the loan for. So it's always been loans and loan and debt, and with no clear objectives rather, for what they are using these loans for. And they don't even care. So this afternoon, the House of Representatives, they were the first to give their approval, because we have a long night. So let's get down to it as quick as possible. The House of Representatives giving their approval to the $2.9 billion dollars, equivalent of 1.767 trillion naira fresh loan.
It was laid on Thursday, 24th November 2024. Honorable Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba will move for his consideration.
Honorable Awas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my highly respected colleagues. Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba, and Sadokin Lafia is my name. I represent the good people of Awedo Makana Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Nasarawa State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move for the consideration of the report of the House, that the House do consider the report of Committee on AIDS, Loans and Debt Management on request for approval for the implementation of the new external borrowings of 1,767,321,777 naira 0 kobo, which is equivalent to 2,209 million in the 2024 Appropriation Act through the issuance of Eurobonds and other sources, and approve recommendations therein. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The Deputy Chair, please.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Architect Larry Okola. I represent the wonderful people of Surulere 2 Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. I rise this afternoon to second the motion ably moved by my chairman for the consideration of the report. I so second. Thank you.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. That is have it. Before I call on the leader, let me make some announcements. One is an omission to recognize students from was laid on Thursday.
That's it. And I was at the House of Representatives. So the report was considered and approved. Call, look, and go ahead and borrow a fresh 1.7 trillion naira. As for the Senate, who started the conversation, here is their own approval. Same afternoon today.
Equivalent to
Why there's this report that the Akpabiole and the supposed House leader, Okweye Wonba, right? They had a fight. Yeah, they had a fight yesterday, and it was a physical one. And somehow, that person who reported it said that they were not going to show up at the National Assembly today. And indeed, they didn't show up. Here, their own approval of the $2.2 billion loan, 1.7 trillion naira.
equivalent to $2.209 billion at 800 naira US dollar exchange rate will be raised from Eurobonds, sovereign sukuk, and syndicated loans. Prioritizing of Eurobond issuance up to approved amount. 3. Utilizing funds for exchange rate adjustment of 1,740 naira to US dollar for critical capital projects. 4. Issue promissory notes and bonds to settle federal government liabilities and minimize debt servicing costs. 5. Authorizing the Minister of Finance and Debt Management Office to execute this resolution. In conclusion, Mr. President, the committee urges the Senate to approve this request to enable the effective financing of 2024 budget and support Nigeria's long-term economic growth. To this end, I thank the leadership and the entire Senate for the confidence they asked to process this request. I so submit for consideration. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairman of the Committee of Local and Foreign Debt. The floor is yielded. You don't have the copy of the report?
We all have.
Please give him a copy of the report. So the floor is open for anyone that wants to make any observation. But the report is very straightforward, except if you have one or two observations to make. Mr. Chairman, you've done a wonderful job. Mr. Chairman, your job is, you've done a wonderful job. Wonderful job. But if anybody has any observation, do you have any observation? You don't have. Anyone against the report? Okay. Those in favor of the report as submitted by the chairman, local and foreign debt, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Senator Benson, take your seat. Senator Pasui, Senator Benson and Senator Alindume, take your seat. Senator Habib, take your seat.
So,
Senator Pasui.
Let me order, please.
Order,
Let
please.
me commend the chairman.
Senator Manu, take your seat.
Order, please. Thank you, Chief Whip, for restoring order to the Senate. Let me, on this note, commend the chairman of the committee, the Senator Yama of South Porto, and members of the committee for a job well done. The report is indeed well packaged and well properly articulated. Consider the fact that the job they had to do took them just 24 hours. This should have been something that would have taken longer time. They show sacrifice. You show sacrifice for the interest of the country by working around the clock to make sure that you get everything done, and not only done but properly done. So we thank you very much, members of the committee. The chairman, you have done a wonderful job. Thank you very much.
And that's it. That was how Tinubu got his approval. Tinubu has been in, Tinubu and his gang, they have been in government now for 18 months. That is 1 year, 6 months. And throughout this period, Tinubu and his gang, they have not been able to attract any real substantial investment to Nigeria. For these 18 months, if their custom is not claiming to have made trillions, 5 trillion, 2 trillion, 7 trillion, Nigeria Customs always declare that they have been making trillions of naira in revenue. Tinubu and his gang also claimed to have saved trillions of naira from the subsidy removal. But no one has been able to put all this together and save Nigeria from taking ridiculous loans with ridiculous conditions. On the last count, they claimed, according to their customs, in the last 7-8 months altogether, they have generated over 9 trillion naira. Just in the last 9 months, max, 9 months. And if you check what the supposed deficit in Nigeria's 2024 budget, what that was is 9.1 trillion naira, according to them. When they wrote the budget, they said the revenue that they expected to generate, as well as the taxes, which is revenue. So they were going to be short of 9.1 or 9-point-something trillion naira. But this last 9 months, the customs alone claimed to have generated more than 9 trillion naira. The subsidy removal claimed by these rogues that they have also saved, according to them, they have saved 11 trillion naira from subsidy removal. That should be like 20 trillion naira. But guess what? These criminals, Tinubu and his gang, they have printed over 20 trillion naira in the last 1 year alone. That's like in the last 11-12 months. You heard me right. These same rogues, they have borrowed, and on the last count, 3.3 billion, 4.8 billion. If you use the current exchange rate, it simply means that they have borrowed over 15 trillion naira. All these trillion, billions, where is the money? And this is just a quarter to end of the year. somehow, they want an extra 1.77 trillion naira. And it is not attached to anything. Nothing. They are looking for loans that, according to them, to revive the economy. Which part of the economy? Atif could put a pen to paper. Abina put a phone to tweet, and he wrote, the recent report released by the World Bank showing Nigeria as the third most indebted country to the International Development Association, IDA. You see, that International Development Association is a program. It's like a sort of a program put together by the World Bank for the world poorest countries. In 1969 or thereabout, Nigeria opted out of that group of the poorest countries. And by the end of 1999, Nigeria was back into it. Again, when Obasanjo pleaded for the debt forgiveness for Nigeria, Nigeria opted out of that IDA. It is so ridiculous that the top countries in that category, they have been India, Singapore, Bangladesh, Pakistan. Well, Singapore is no longer in that category. Nigeria is back in there. And here is what Atiku wrote. So this report is coming just when the government has already sent a proposal to the National Assembly signaling an intention to borrow an additional 1.7 trillion. So what makes this particular loan proposal even more concerning is that it is benchmarked at the exchange rate of 800 naira. This is the GBTO. According to them, this loan that they want to take, they are using the benchmark of 800 naira to $1. In the budgets of 2025 they sent in, they are using the benchmark of 1,400 naira to $1. But in reality, the exchange rate in Nigeria is currently at 1,740 naira minimum. That's the official 1,740 naira to $1. Tifnubunomic. However, Nigeria is sinking further into debt, and the National Assembly has become an accomplice once more. In July this year, Tinubu boasted that the FIRS and customs under his watch had collected all-time high revenues to finance the budget. Why are they still borrowing? There is something that they are not telling Nigerians, even as they are being crushed by a combination of their failed trial and error policies and loan rackets. So Tinubu's loans are bone-crushing to Nigerians and bringing insufferable pressure on the economy, especially when they are not properly negotiated and utilized. It is concerning that the voracious appetite for these humongous loans is powered by corruption and not for infrastructure and development needs. A report by a budget watchdog, has disclosed that the 2024 budget is a mess because of the level of pork associated with it. I feel a sense of personal agony, seeing that just a few years after the administration of Obasanjo took our country out of foreign indebtedness, we are today back at the top spot in the same conundrum. It is time to apply more caution and arithmetic to the loan frenzy and advise that Tinubu and his gang quickly brushed aside. They continue to lie to millions of gullible Nigerians. And the question you should be asking is that, yeah, you may say loan is not bad, or you have the right to know what they are using the loan for. Like, what are you going to use the loan for? What have you used the ones you took for? Because Tinubu and his gang continue to strangulate you economically. They mandated the customs, okay, to increase their tariff. Nigeria is an import-dependent country where almost 80% of what Nigerians uses in Nigeria, they are imported. Then the customs chooses to increase the tariff enough that majority of you today are battling with the cost of living crisis. where you can no longer afford what normally, I mean, today in Nigeria, if I put it back, let's say in 2022, if you are earning 300,000 naira a month in 2022, and you are earning 3 million naira today in that contraption, if you are earning 300,000 naira in, let's say, for example, in 2014, this was like about 10 years ago, and you are earning 3 million naira today, 300,000 naira in 2014 is far more than the 3 million naira today. And a lot of people who currently possibly earn more than what they have been earning, what they were earning before, can no longer afford what they used to be able to afford in Tinubunomic. So the IMF woman, Georgiavina or something, I think her name is Georgiavina, met with Tinubu in Brazil. She is the director of IMF. The people who have been giving Nigeria short loans and horrible conditions that have continued to impoverish Nigerians, destroy businesses. Just last week, the same IMF released the report that Tinubu's economic policies are not working in that contraption. But this woman met with Kolu, and she categorically told him that your policies are great, the people should endure more, and we will support you in what you are doing. And immediately she said that on her Twitter. What happened next? Tinubu and his gang, they decided to milk it by saying that all of us complaining, all of us pointing out this failing illegitimate regime, we're just bad belly people. Because according to IMF, Tinubu's policies, they are working. They will take time. Yeah? Was it not last month, in October, that one Indian who happened to be the most indebted country in the world right now, India. Indians have also lost so much of their own supposed foreign reserve. I don't know if you have heard about that. Yeah, they are so close with Nigeria in a way, in this poverty index and all that, right? So there was this guy who said Nigerians will have to wait for another between 10 and 15 years before they can begin to enjoy Tinubu's reform. So the IMF, which for so many reasons have been proven to be the enemies of developing countries, so good at impoverishing these developing countries, especially Africa. Their policies have been policies that Africans should devalue their currencies and sell their resources cheaper to whoever they choose them to sell them to. Why millions of Africans can continue to wallow in abject generational poverty. So they have been milking this picture, among others, to remind the Nigerians that whatever it is you are going through right now, you are still going to enjoy it, in years to come. IMF. I've had people who have said, if Nigeria was a real country, they should be finding ways of paying off whatever loan IMF has given to them, World Bank, and chase them out of Nigeria, Africa generally. But the despots, criminals in power in Africa, they are comfortable with this free money since they can reloot the money, okay? And then they use their own people as collaterals. Yesterday, we had a shot at the Nigeria Custom and the Nigeria Police, their corruption, endemic corruption, and endangering the lives of the people with their collaboration with different smugglers. And I said something about the smugglers, the custom officers' wives, who are also the top dealers in the smuggled rice into Nigeria. Somebody called into a program this morning rather. And he just said, Just exact thing, the exact thing that we shared on this platform last night. I am going to share that with us again this evening. Let's take a look.
There is a cost